It is time to attempt actually building true communism. You may have thought that my last city was an example of true communism, but that's simply not true. I found out the whole time someone was trying to undermine my city so it collapses, because obviously the capitalist class couldn't have me inspire the workers of the world. This time, my city will do better, because now I know how to deal with the problems. Like, my Siberian city had an issue with the cold weather, freezing people to death, and this time I'm gonna handle the cold, by starting in the Arabian desert. I'm playing on the same difficulty settings as last time, medium with research turned off, but this time I'm gonna build the city from scratch. The Arabian map is really mountainous, and there isn't much in terms of farmland or mining, but we do have a bunch of oil to drill out of here. I decided the northeast would be the best place to settle since it's relatively flat and not too far from a western border checkpoint. I have a decent source of oil that I can set up a few pump jacks on and get my fuel refining industry started. Next, I set up a residential area, and thanks to your advice in the comments, I know that it's bad for people's health to live next to super toxic factories. So I made sure to have some space between the apartments and the oil industry. I got the bare necessities to get the town running, with a bus route running between the two parts of the city and the electrical grid set up, all powered by that sweet, sweet oil. This time, I'm not forgetting that I need to make money, and I get a train to export all the fuel and asphalt I make to the west, making almost $20,000 in exports. I'm sure the Soviet Union must be pleased with how I'm spending the rubles they gave me, not giving them any of that investment back. It's all going into trading with the West. But I still have to keep up appearances, so in the town center I built a Communist Party HQ and Lenin statue, so people know that although we're reliant on Western money, we're still a proudly communist country. I had over 2 million rubles to burn, so I had to keep the city growing by expanding my oil drilling operations and setting up some healthcare. It's amazing how much longer my citizens live when they aren't within walking distance of a coal plant. But because of that distance between my residential area and oil power plant, keeping the lights on in the city was a struggle. We needed more people, of course, but those people also needed things to do on their off time. Enter alcoholism. A decent percentage of the city was already addicted to alcohol, and what is communism if not giving the workers what they want? As more high-density housing went up and our population went past 1,000, it was inevitable that some of the people who arrived may have not been the most well-intentioned individuals. So I had to set up a prison for these people, but as a communist society, we believe in rehabilitating people, and what better way to rehabilitate someone than by making them an alcoholic? Now they're gonna be too wasted to commit another crime. I invited more people to fill up apartments and expanded the high-density neighborhood because I felt it was time to diversify the industry of the city. We weren't gonna be reliant on imported alcohol much longer. Instead, I'm gonna make my own. Crops are dirt cheap to import, so distilleries are super profitable. I can make easily thousands of dollars selling my superior beers and vodkas to the West. Now, although we believe everyone is equal in the city, we also recognize the Marxist idea of from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. And certain citizens really need better housing than others, along with a new car to drive around the city. Look how many people want a car right now. I'm only responding to what the workers want. And if that so happens to be a brand new Chevy car, who am I to say no? Our alcohol is so good that it starts making people want to visit the city, and since we're sitting on so much money, I figure I might as well get the tourist sector working. With the increase in alcohol around the city, a third of the population were alcoholics, and I had to pump this up. I built a new radio station so we could get right into people's homes and tell them to get drunk more. I also like how we're not even using our own citizens for the propaganda, we're hiring Westerners to convince our people to drink more. But we shouldn't be using foreign labor for this, we need to use our own workers, so I made another neighborhood that should have just enough necessities for the actors who will work at the radio station. With our population growing, we needed more alcohol for everyone, so I expanded our booze sector to make even more booze for the city and the world in general. But I shouldn't just be focused on making more profit, I need to give back to the workers themselves. Our communist paradise was finally gonna join the 20th century once I put street lamps around the city. Let it be known that the city is so great and enjoyable to visit that the tourists visiting are giving it a 5.5 stars out of 5. The oil production has also grown so much that I had to get a second train to export fuel, and I think I've finally figured out how I'm supposed to set up the train traffic, since my trains aren't colliding every other minute. What I haven't figured out is that a town of 6,000 people should have a fire department by now, so when one of my hotels catches fire, the tourist vacation doesn't end up like... But one hotel fire doesn't tank my reputation too much. A lot of Westerners are coming here and spending a lot of money. With our city getting richer, we have to show it, and nothing shows wealth like more cars on the road, along with parking lots to handle all the cars we're putting out there. One thing I've neglected as this town's gotten bigger is the need for higher education. Our small communist HQ is just not cutting it to enlighten the next generation of critical thinkers. A new university needs to be built on the outskirts of town so it can get more educated workers. I get housing for the professors and students, and people start running to attend this prestigious university. Too many people actually. There are not enough teachers for the students. So the problem is my educated workforce is all over the place, and it would be a lot better for the city if they would just concentrate in certain neighborhoods away from the other workers. They'd get along better with their peers anyways. So while the alcohol industry is booming with my big rig selling tons of it to the west, it's overshadowing the primary industry in my city, my oil. I know I could be making way more money on this, but for some reason the oil industry is not attracting that many people. And if the people here won't work there, then I just gotta find more. I make some large apartments on the outskirts of town and invite a bunch of third world migrants to live here and work in the oil refinery. As I set up the services in the area, I put down a hospital and realized that I have screwed myself a bit by not having any rubles on hand, because I can't buy any ambulances in dollars. So if someone around here needs some medical attention, then that's on them to get to the hospital, because we ain't coming. It's not like I could get some rubles easily either. The Soviet checkpoint is on the other side of the map, and I can't be bothered to build a road that far. But although it was very far, who says I need to get there by land? Air travel has existed for the past 80 years. So I decided this city needed an airport and started working on it. Unsurprisingly, an airport is very pricey to build. Plus I had to pay a lot extra for it because I kept building it wrong. Mainly because it took me a bit to figure out how airport parking worked. But after fumbling around for a while and burning about $1 million, we could rise in the ranks of prestigious cities. Tourism would get a big boom since I could get tourists from both the east and west faster. I needed them to start flooding my airport soon because this was a big investment to get back. But speaking of investments, I was looking at that neighborhood I built for the migrants and noticed a bunch of them weren't working. I paid them to come over for a fresh start and they're just sitting here like... Some people might claim that it's on me that those migrants couldn't get to work because every time they wanted to go to work, the bus wouldn't even stop for them since it was always full. It's really amazing the excuses some people will make not to show up to their job, so I make sure they have no reason not to come in for work. I built a new bus station with a bus route exclusively for them, and with this setup, a lot more people are working at the oil refinery. Actually, a bit too many people working at the refinery now because I'm not pumping enough oil to keep up with the demand of the factory. Eventually, I'm gonna run out of oil and my entire economy is gonna collapse, so I need to find another source of oil for the city. Problem is, all the other good sources of oil are a bit far away on the other side of several mountain ranges, but I don't have a choice. There is so much oil to exploit here, I gotta go for it. The easy part of this is just building the pump jacks in the area, but the hard and tedious part is connecting the oil from there to my oil refinery. Bringing oil across a mountain range sounds pretty tough already, but it gets super tedious when I have to build a pumping station every 300 meters. So I spend the next, I don't even know how long minutes, expanding the pipeline across the mountains. It's a good thing I banked up a bunch of money because I was going through my savings super fast. There were many times I wanted to stop doing this, but I looked at my city and could see that it really wasn't an option because my refinery could barely run now. I had to use so many underground pipelines that before I even passed the final mountain, I was broke. You'd think I could just try to take my time with this and wait for my money to go back up, but the oil shortage was starting to affect my power plants and causing the whole town to black out. I had barely made it to the last mountain when I was nearly out of money, and considering the resource shortages and the fact that I still needed to build the power grid to support this giant pipeline, I just took a loan from the West. The money I got from them was just what I needed to finish the pipeline and get it connected to my refinery. All the new oil would make me millions and allow me to support a lot more people in the town. With that connection built, if I needed more oil, I can easily expand it to other sources in the area with only a fraction of the headache that this first one took. I felt pretty proud of the pipeline project, so the game had to rain on my parade by having one of the pump jacks catch on fire, which I guess does show one flaw in this project, that I can't do any firefighting whatsoever, but I'm just gonna accept it as a write-off. If a pump jack occasionally burns down, then I just build another one because I can't be bothered building a mega highway to connect all of this to. All that matters is that the power plants are running and the oil refineries are running at record output, and this couldn't have been finished at a better time because we got news of an international pandemic happening, so my hospitals needed to be ready and my tourism industry was about to go comatose. I expanded my oil pumping to make up for that, and soon we were exporting so much fuel and asphalt I could pay back my loans early. This just shows how easy it is to run an oil-based economy in the game, because I'm making these fat stacks when my tourist sector is just a ghost town. There used to be over 1,200 people coming to visit this city, and now we're getting less than 5% of that, and it doesn't even matter. Weaker capitalist countries are having recessions due to the pandemic, while I'm here building a new university with all the extra profits I've made from exporting oil. I did make a big mistake while building the uni neighborhood by inviting a bunch of unproven people to these houses, so I had to go through them and escort those citizens to a building more fitting of their needs. The pandemic the game told me about is pretty much a joke though, because by April, so less than 5 months, things are back to normal and tourists are flocking to my city and enjoying all the alcohol I've been saving for them. With the expanded oil production and the reviving tourist sector, the dollars are coming in faster than I can ever hope to spend them, and I feel like stopping here to end the video on a W. If we check on the status of our Arabian workers, we can see they're doing great in our communist utopia. Religion has been virtually eliminated in the population, and about 46% of the population are alcoholics, but keep in mind, only about 60% of the citizens here are adults. I don't know if that alcoholic statistic applies to kids in this game, because if it doesn't, then about 75% of the people who can drink are alcoholics, which is just beautiful. I've created a utopia not just for the worker, but for drunk drivers too, with all the cars I have for sale. I think I've finally gotten a basic handling of workers and resources, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching Bambi make his first successful city. If you guys want me to keep doing videos on this game, then leave a like and suggest a fun challenge for me to do. If this video hits 7,500 likes, you'll definitely see a challenge video, and if we pass 10,000 likes, I'll try a realism mode game. Thank you to my alumni generously funding my Oil Prince dreams on Patreon. If you want to go the extra step to support this channel and have me keep trying out variety content, that really helps out a lot. If you can't, that's fine. At least subscribe to get more good stuff in your feed, and I'll see you again soon.